I want to go ahead and start again and thank you for being our guest speaker for our Let's Talk series program that Fresno County offers every now and then for important issues to be discussed. And today is a day that we are celebrating Earth Day. And Earth Day is the annual event on April 22. And first time that in United States on April 22, 1970, we celebrated Earth Day, and it became the biggest observation day in the world. It is an opportunity to highlight the issues and environmental challenges. And I'm so honored to have Mr. Brian Lee, the director of, the health promotional manager from American Lung Association, who accepted our invitation and came to this discussion.
Today, like Nina was saying, I'm here to talk about wildfires and lung health. It's a very, popular topic amongst Earth Day and environmentalism. So it's, really important to cover, especially for California. Everyone knows, how detrimental wildfires have had in our past and probably will continue to so in the future. So today's agenda, presentation agenda, I'll cover 1, the history of the American Lung Association, 2, the state of the air report that the American Lung Association releases on a yearly basis, 3, climate change and wildfires and just general information, 4, some preparedness tips to help you for the future, and 5, some lung health resources that are signature to our organization. So a little bit about ALA's history. For more than 110 years, the American Lung Association has led the fight for healthy lungs and healthy air. Today, our work is more important than ever. Our mission and goals include, the American Lung Association is the leading organization working to save lives by improving lung health and preventing lung disease through everything, including research, education, and advocacy. And our impact, whether it's searching for cures to lung diseases, keeping kids off tobacco, or fighting for laws that protect the air we breathe, the work that the American Lung Association does helps to save lives every single day. So a little bit more history continued. We were originally founded in 1904, and we originally were fighting against tuberculosis. As the years evolved, starting in 1964, we started our first tobacco control work. And we, along with a lot of partners at the time, prompted the first Surgeon General's report that said that smoking was not safe and that secondhand smoke exposure is bad for you. Over time, we've helped millions of smokers quit, and we've helped many smoke-free air laws across the nation. But we also have other lung health priorities as well. We have a large focus in asthma prevention and control. Lung cancer is one of our major strategic imperatives and something that we fund research for probably the most out of all the lung diseases. And then there's general COPD and just defending and enforcing the Clean Air Act, which all plays into this idea of environmentalism and keeping our air free of any pollutants and anything that may be detrimental to our health. So the State of the Air Report 2022, I'll go over some key findings and what exactly the report covers. It's our oldest signature report, and in 2022, it's actually our 23rd annual edition. It's nationally recognized and a respected resource for not only decision makers, but local community groups, local city council members, and just kind of people in general like to use our report to reference different things. It's quoted in the media every day, which is a very important and very notable fact is that, this report is used widespread throughout the nation, and it gives the public localized air quality information. So if you were curious about your specific area and how they were graded amongst other areas in the nation, you could check that now and see how Fresno County, for example, pairs up against where I'm located at in Los Angeles County. We grade each and every county in the nation on their state of the air laws, their particulate matter that's floating in the air just on a general day-to-day basis. It's a wide methodology of grading for this report that we cover, and that's why it's so comprehensive and used in everyday kind of references. And it also focuses attention on the ozone and particle pollution, which I'll cover a little bit later as well. So what is specifically in the report? The pollutants, ozone, and fine particles are one of the major things that we looked at for the state of the air report. And in this grading, what we take is from partner organizations. I know we have AQMD, and in California that gathers a lot of this information as well. But at a national level, we also pull from the national organizations that measure pollutants in the air in different areas. And so with these measurements, we are able to find out how much fine particulate matter is in the air and also how much ozone is in the air as well. And this all accumulates to data, grades, and rankings in the report. So for example, California, we have local grades on each and every county within that state and all the states in the nation. There's key findings that I'll cover as well on I believe the next slide. And the health impact of air pollution, I'll cover later on in this presentation. And basically this report is a call to action for all those reading it and all those viewing it, because we want to have further policies and further work done to ensure that our lung health is being kept safe from these particulate matters. So these grades that I was speaking of earlier are based on the air quality index. And this index is a conglomerate of different values. On the left, you see in the table on the left, you see the range of numbers from 0 to 500 and the color matching of it. So from 0 to 50, you have good air quality conditions. That means there isn't a lot of particulate matter in the air. It's safe to breathe. But as you go down, it gets worse and worse. And when you get into that 100 range, it starts to be unhealthy for those with pre-existing conditions. For example, COPD, asthma. Those who live in those orange areas are more adverse to negative health conditions and coughing fits or asthma attacks and things like that. So I mentioned the Air Quality Management District in Southern California has the South Coast Air Quality Management District that measures the air quality as well. And they actually measure it on a daily basis. So if you're interested in that, you can visit their website and see each day what the air quality is in your area to see if you need more protections or maybe you need to wear a mask that day. And it is especially useful around the wildfire times because, you never know when sometimes it's hard to tell when the air quality is bad during a wildfire because the air looks clear one day, but there could still be that fine particulate matter in the air. And it's, wind also helps pick up those particulate matters and spreads it out throughout the area and region as well. So if you're ever interested or ever need to know that information, the South Coast Air Quality Management District has it, and the Air Quality Index does it just in a general basis as well. And this is the EPA yardstick for reporting air quality. So this measurement is, tested, tried and true, and definitely something that should be used if you're trying to, just gauge the air quality in your area. And it translates monitored pollution levels into recommendations for action. It's used across the nation. And again, this is something that we use to assign the grades for both ozone and short-term particles in the air that we're breathing. So why do we tell people exactly about air quality? Well, it's to advise people how to protect themselves from air pollution. Millions of people face high risk of harm, especially during the wildfire season. You know, people still have to go to work, people still have to go to school, children still have to go to school as well. So it's millions of people at risk of potentially breathing in this harmful air. And sometimes it's really, hard to avoid wildfire smoke because it spreads in such a vast region. And that's why we have, these resources and tools to provide people with tips on how to protect themselves from this, this wildfire smoke air and just air pollution in general too. It also gives ways to people to advocate for healthy air. So nationwide, this report, the State of the Air report, is used to our national legislators to encourage policies to protect people from particulate matter exposure. For example, in California, we're working on electric vehicles because that is, vehicles are a big cause of pollutants in the air. We also work locally on wildfire preparedness and education in all areas of Southern California. And this also encourages and supports programs that cut pollution and improve air quality. So we've done a lot of progress over the years to, encourage air quality improvement, but the work still continues for us. And that's why we release this report on a yearly basis. So sources of particle pollution, as you can see from the pictures, you have vehicles, you have plants, energy plants, like coal plants and things like that. And then at the end, you have wildfires and then wood furnaces as well. I know California and specific areas for wood furnaces, they only allow wood burning on certain days of the month or the week. And then lastly, that wildfire is a major thing for California, especially because, we have the wildfire season that causes so much damage, so much property damage, and so much smoke exposure to people across the state. So the health effects of these fine particles, can cause premature mortality, asthma attacks, heart attacks, and strokes, worsening of lung and cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, cognitive decline, and dementia, and it may lower birth weight and infant mortality as well. So all these things combined through the fine particulates that are being released into the air in wildfires. When you're breathing them in, these are a lot of the diseases or different adverse effects that can be caused to the body. Air pollution risks are not equally shared. And this is one thing that was important in the most recent State of the Air report that was found. It found that people of color are more adversely affected than populations of white residents in California and the nation as well. But most adversely affected are children, older adults, people with underlying health conditions, pregnant people and fetuses, people of color again, and people living in poverty. In these key findings, more than 4 in 10 Americans live in places with unhealthy levels of air pollution. And that accounts for roughly 137 million people nationwide that are living in places of unhealthy levels of air. And then again, people of color are 3.6 times more likely than white people to live in a county with 3 failing grades. So 3 failing grades on the State of the Air report is a high amount of grades. That means there are multiple areas that they do not meet for air quality, or even minimal air quality. And then the top 5 most polluted counties for ozone include, and this is nationwide, by the way. So the top 5 most polluted counties in the nation for ozone include San Bernardino, Riverside, Los Angeles, Kern, and Tulare. Most notably, these are all in California. It's not a surprise nowadays that California has one of the worst air quality measurements in the nation. But yeah, if you look at the list for even the top 25 most polluted counties in the nation, I think more than half of them are in California, which is surprising and a little bit sad as well for us because, the air quality, especially in the valley regions when there's not a lot of airflow, causes a lot of problems to young adults, especially growing up in those areas, but, just people in general. So climate change and wildfires. This is our next topic of discussion. In Northern California, the peak fire season is usually from June to late fall. In Southern California, the peak fire season is usually from May to fall. If you've lived in California a while now, you definitely know these fire seasons and, the winds that pick up during this time that cause it. Smoke from wildfires can harm anyone nearby and even many miles downwind. So even though there's a fire in one county, another county over may experience the smoke and effects of that smoke from the next county over. We always highlight for wildfire information that preparation is key to handling both the wildfires and the smoke that will inevitably come after a wildfire. And evacuation plans are necessary. And I'll cover some tips on what to kind of go over during those evacuation plans. But it's really important that you and your family have one at the ready because, there could always be an instance during a wildfire that you need to evacuate your home. I remember back in maybe around like 7 or 8 years ago, my family and I had to pretty much gather up everything and leave because there was a fire right across the street from our home. It's surprising and sometimes springs up quick. I'm sure you all know the dangers of spreading wildfires. So yeah, it's definitely scary when you go through it, and evacuation plans ensure that they're quick and out the door with the most important things that you need. In 2021, so last year, there were a total of 8,619 wildfires that burned nearly 2.6 million acres. That's a lot of wildfires, and that's a lot of millions of acres burned. And the property damage, I can imagine, was high as well, too. I just don't have the specific numbers on that. So the dangers of wildfire smoke include, again, the fine particulates that are released, which are respiratory irritants. Basically, when you breathe them in, it causes you to have a hard time breathing and it irritates your lungs from the inside out. This can lead to a reduction in lung function and pulmonary inflammation, and potentially affects the body's ability to remove foreign materials such as viruses and bacteria. And I include this last point just because we recently went through and are still going through, I guess, the COVID-19 pandemic. It's getting a little bit better, fortunately, but wildfire season is coming up as well too. And so this affects the body when you breathe in smoke. It affects the body's ability to fight off viruses and bacteria. And what is COVID-19 but, a virus? So, it could come hand in hand. We may see upticks of numbers in COVID-19 during that time, but, it's good to protect yourself when you go through that because, it could have long lasting effects even after the wildfire has subsided. So coping with wildfire smoke. Again, smoke can harm your lungs, and this especially harms children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing lung conditions. If you can imagine yourself, if you have healthy lungs at this point, breathing in smoke, even like tobacco smoke or wildfire smoke, it definitely isn't a good feeling. And people with pre-existing lung conditions such as asthma, COPD, lung cancer, they're already having a hard time, breathing on a normal basis. So with smoke, it's even more exacerbated and they have more of a tough time handling their lung diseases. Breathing smoke can cause heart attacks, asthma attacks, and other dangerous health effects. Again, especially for those that I mentioned before. Even healthy adults can risk coughing, wheezing, and difficulty breathing. There are some recommended uses for wildfires while wildfires are going on. In your home, you can have HEPA air filters, HEPA filters that help clear the air that you breathe inside. And then N95 masks, we've heard a lot of that during the COVID-19 pandemic, but they are approved masks for for smoke prevention and for preventing just kind of any spread of disease as well too. So N95 masks are highly sought after during the wildfire season. The American Lung Association actually does programs every now and then to donate these N95 masks to hospitals, local firefighting communities, just so we can get those resources out there to areas that may not have access to them already. And then another important website, because I mentioned two before, is the airnow.gov. It shows how much pollution is in your area. And I believe it's also an updated kind of map of the pollution, so you can see specifically at this point in time what the air pollution is like. So those with pre-existing lung conditions, they should take even more care as they, again, have more susceptibility to smoke inhalation. The things that they should have ready in their preparedness plans is that they should have all their medication in one place for them to gather it up really quickly and to, be ready to leave with it. They should have their prescriptions ready as well. In case their medications run out, they have those prescriptions ready and in order to, refill them in a timely manner. They should also have their insurance cards. Again, this plays into the medication and prescriptions and potentially, any doctor visits that they need to do along the way. Another major item that many people may not think about is having a portable power source. So during wildfires, sometimes, electricity is cut to certain areas or, electrical lines are, burnt or damaged and cause blackouts in certain areas. So having a portable power source, especially for those with, oxygen devices, is important because then you can continue to power those devices. And then again, N95 masks are important just to prevent as much as possible. It won't 100% prevent, smoke inhalation, but it'll prevent it quite a lot. And then lastly, you want to notify the utility company, and this plays into the portable power source, because again, the utility company may cut power to certain areas at this time of distress. And so you need to notify them to not cut power to your specific home in order to power oxygen devices. There are a few lung health resources that are located on our website. And if you do have any specific questions, my contact information is at the end of this presentation that you can quickly reach out to me by email or phone. But right now I'll cover two specific lung health resources that I think are the most notable for wildfire season and just keeping your lungs healthy in general. So the first is just a disaster preparedness tip guide. And it covers 10 tips, especially those living with chronic lung disease. It covers some of the tips that I mentioned previously in that one slide, but it also includes some extras in there, more specifics that you can go through on a deeper level as well. But again, what we stress is that every family, even if you don't have, pre-existing lung condition, should have a set plan on what to do when you evacuate. Everyone needs their important documents. Everyone needs, to protect themselves against the smoke. So masks are a necessity. But again, having that plan will save you a lot of time when that plan is needed. And then lastly, the Better Breathers Club is a resource free for participants and anyone suffering from lung diseases. It's free for anyone wanting to participate in this group setting. But basically, it offers a patient-centered and community-based education opportunity for people living with chronic lung disease and their families. What this entails is it provides education and skills to achieve highest level of functioning for their disease. So although they're living with this really detrimental lung disease, this group allows them to share ideas, share skills and education on how to better manage their lung disease. It teaches basic concepts and coping techniques. It introduces new concepts in lung disease care and treatment. It offers opportunity for members to also share their ideas and common problems. And then lastly, the psychological and social benefits of group interaction is really important. These are these are very similar individuals who all suffer from different lung diseases. And so, you may benefit from sharing ideas or receiving ideas, but it's just a communal area with a facilitator, a health facilitator that can, just help through those trying times. So that's the Better Breathers Club. It's again free for everyone in the community. If you want to become a facilitator in your area, if there's none in the Fresno County area, I don't believe there are many. You can reach out to me and we can, start your Better Breathers Club's training in order to become a facilitator and provide these to the public. But yeah, this is a really important program, one of ALA's signature programs that helps people with their lung disease and better manage it as well. So that is my presentation on the wildfires. I keep it relatively quick just in case there's some discussion or any questions that anyone has. But if you may have a question later on, feel free to take down my contact information and send me an email or call me at my office number at any time. But yeah, any questions at all?
Thank you very much, Brian. It was wonderful and very informative. I would like to ask anybody who have any questions to write down in the chat area. And as Brian mentioned, can you please put up your contact information one more time on the screen so that people can take a note of it, and they might come up with questions later on, and they can contact you directly. And I appreciate your patience with us, and I hope all these programs are informational for you and educational as well. I learned a lot from this presentation, and I appreciate you and your presence, Brian. I see a question, I believe, or comment. What is the place with the best air quality in California?
That is a good question. There aren't many. If you're talking about the best air quality in California, I don't know the specific city because it is specifically a city. The counties are all rated relatively bad. But if you go within the State of the Air report, you'll be able to find the specific city that has the best air quality. We mostly highlight the worst ones, but you are able to find the best one in the report itself. Yeah, I just don't know it off the top of my head.
As Brian mentioned earlier in his presentation, airnow.gov is the very, very useful and good resource that you can find out which part of the California has, or the world in fact, because we check regularly, especially during the wildfire season. People come to us, call us, and we look it up, their location on that from that website, which is excellent resource. I highly recommend it as well.
Yeah, a lot of California cities will have very bad air quality compared to the rest of the nation. In terms of the best, it's kind of picking out of like a bunch of rotten apples, basically, for air quality. Any other questions at all? Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me out. It's a pleasure always speaking with everyone in Fresno County. So yeah, look forward to maybe future ones. And again, my information is on the screen. So if you have any questions or any interest in any of our programs, feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you very much, Brian, for your presentation. We really must have more information from the American Lung Association about what is happening. Apparently, there is somebody, a chat sign went up, and that is thank you.
Thank you as well. Yeah, thank you as well.
Thank you very much for participating in our discussion, and hope to see you in future programs. During the summer, we have all kinds of information, entertaining programs, and please do join us. Thank you, Brian. Have a good night.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.